Today's story is on Erica Yvonne Sheppard, who was sentenced to death in 1995 for killing a mother of two. Erica Yvonne Sheppard was born on September 1st, 1973 in Bay City, Texas. There's no documentation that says she got into any trouble as a child and had never gone to juvie or jail before the age of 18. By age 19, Erica was a single mother of 3 children, with her youngest being just 10 months old. She was able to escape the negative environment with her children's father, but she was left without a place to live and no job. She ended up reaching out to her older brother Jonathan, and he agreed to let Erica and her children live with him and his 19-year-old roommate James Dickerson. After Erica moved in, she and James hit it off and soon started a relationship. Erica fell in love with his blue eyes, and him not having a job like her gave them both ample time to do nothing but come up with, in their mind, the perfect crime. It was late at night on June 29, 1993. Erica, James, and their friend Corey Jordan were hanging out in their apartment. Randomly, James expressed how he was in desperate need of money and would do anything to get it, even if that meant robbing people and/or stealing cars. The very next day, Erica and James noticed their 43-year-old neighbor, Marilyn Sage Mager, bringing packages from her car to her apartment. They noticed that not only was her car trunk open, but her front door was open as well. Erica and James then made a plan and decided to rob Marilyn. Erica left her place equipped with a kitchen knife and walked over to Megan's place. She entered the house first, and James followed. Marilyn got scared when they entered and repeated twice, "Who's there?" Erica and James then began assaulting her. Marilyn started screaming, and James threatened her if she did not stay quiet. While being assaulted, Marilyn started screaming, and James threatened her if she did not stay quiet. Marilyn then began pleading with the duo when Erica asked for the car keys to her vehicle. Initially, Marilyn did not take the young couple serious because she replied by saying, "My keys? You're crazy." When she noticed their weapon, she let them know that she had 2 children. She also said, "I will give you anything, don't hurt me. I have a little money, take my money." She was able to reach into her pocket to throw out some money, but Erica and James grew more angry because Marilyn would not stop yelling. James attempted to kill her, but the weapon they brought from their apartment was not sharp enough, so they went into Marilyn's kitchen to find the perfect weapon. When Erica passed the weapon to James, she left to Marilyn's bedroom and was able to find more money along with her car keys. When she returned to the living room, she noticed that James had already attempted to kill Marilyn. There was a struggle, and both Erica and James took part in killing Marilyn. The duo attempted to clean up after themselves, but Erica ended up leaving a bloody fingerprint at the crime scene. Erica and James left, and Marilyn's daughter discovered her body shortly after. After police began their investigation, a friend of Erica and James notified the police about the couple, and they were brought in for questioning. Erica confessed, and although she initially said that she was there for the robbery but did not witness the murder, she eventually confessed to taking part in the kill. Their friend Corey Jordan also gave investigators a statement and told them the night before the murder, he overheard the couple discussing robbing someone and being okay with killing to get what they needed. When Erica's trial began, she felt as if her court-appointed lawyers were not helpful. She and James were convicted of murder and robbery. Her team did not allow her to testify, and there were 11 witnesses called to the stand, including some of her own friends. Her friend Corey let the court know that James and Erica had tried to rob someone the day before the murder, but stopped the robbery when the female victim was able to escape and made it inside of her apartment. While awaiting her sentence, Erica was being held at the Harris County Jail, and 2 prison inmates who knew Erica said that when the story of Marilyn came on the news, Erica started to brag about the murder. When it came to sentencing, in the state of Texas, the law states that in terms of receiving the death sentence, the jury must answer yes to 3 questions. Did the defendant act deliberately? Was the defendant's conduct unreasonable in response to any provocation offered by the deceased? And was there a probability that the defendant would commit future acts of violence that would pose a continuing threat to society? The jury answered yes to all 3 questions, so Erica was not offered life in prison, but instead death. Her official sentence came on April 25, 1995, and she was sent to the Mountain View Unit in Gatesville, Texas. There were automatic appeals that were denied by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, and initially Erica wanted to fight for her life, but temporarily gave up in 1997. She had a new attorney by the name of James Keegan who told her that she had no case and there was little hope that a court would overturn her conviction. With that being said to her, she gave up her fight, and on November 7, 1997, she wrote a letter to the appellate court. A portion of the letter read, "I ask that my appeal immediately be stopped and my execution date be carried out as promptly as possible." The court did not argue with her wish to die, and they scheduled her execution date the following year on April 20, 1998. At one point, Erica was one of 7 women on death row at the Mountain View unit, and one of her fellow inmates was someone I have done a story on, Carla Faye Tucker. Erica saw how Carla found God and pled with the governor at the time, George Bush, but was ultimately executed. Erica said that Carla prayed for her and her family and to make peace with herself. According to Erica, she found God and peace, so she was fine with her execution date. Not okay with Erica's decision to die was the Amnesty International and Erica's mother, Madeline McNeil. She asked Erica to change her mind, and Erica said she wouldn't unless she received a sign. Madeline wrote a letter to Reverend Jesse Jackson, pleading to him for his help in assisting Erica and her appeals. It was nearing her execution date in April of 1998, and she finally got a visit from Reverend Jesse Jackson. It was April 8, 1998, and Erica believed that meeting him was her miracle, so she reached out to the Amnesty International for help in getting new representation. As of now, Erica is in isolation by choice and living in the segregated unit. She has not received any disciplinary strikes, but is in that unit for choosing not to work. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch another episode of Death Row Executions for this Sentence to Death segment. And now I'm going to read a letter from Erica Sheppard to the Texas Death Row, and it was written on May 1st, 1999. My name is Erica Sheppard, and I'm a female on death row in the state of Texas. I have been on death row for 4 years, and in the years that I have been here, never have I experienced such inhumane treatment. Please allow me the opportunity to inform you of what's happening to us behind prison walls. On October 21st, 1983, a court-ordered death row plan was passed for death row inmates Civil Action Number H78987 by Honorable William Wayne, Justice in the United States District Court for the Southern District of Texas Houston Division. In this plan, there are 2 classifications of death row inmates: work capable and death row segregation. I am a death row segregated inmate, not because of anything I have done wrong, but because as a death row inmate, it is by law my choice to participate in the work program or not. However, behind these prison walls, if you don't work, you are punished and treated differently. Allow me to give you some examples, if you will. Number 1. Every list of reason for a death row segregated inmate is either violent or negative. A. Escape or attempted escape. B. Assaultive behavior. C. Possession of a deadly weapon. Not one time does it say that it's our choice to work or not to work. It is a privilege to participate in the work program. It is not mandatory for us to work because we do not get any credit or good time for working, nor do we get paid to work. Number 2. For recreation, we are allowed 1 hour out of our cells 7 days a week, whereas by court law it says that we shall be allowed to recreate outside of our cells for not less than 3 hours a day. Where are our other 2 hours of recreation time? Number 3. We are housed in a building titled the Multipurpose Facility that also houses psyche patients and disciplinary segregated inmates. We are often confused with the disciplinary segregated inmates, and we are often confused with the disciplinary segregated inmates because we are to be labeled segregated inmates. But the difference between the two is, we are segregated because we have a death sentence by law. They are segregated because of acting bad and not following the rules, but oftentimes when people tour this facility, they are not informed of this status. Why? Because they want to make it appear that we are here because we have disciplinary problems, and that is just not true. This multipurpose facility is not set up to house death row inmates. We are supposed to have a day room equipped with at least 4 tables and 16 stools, a chinning bar, and an assortment of table games such as checkers, dominoes, and chess. We are also supposed to have a water fountain for drinking water, yet we have no such things. Why? There are 4 other women housed in this multipurpose facility with me who are also death row level 1 inmates, yet we are kept separated from each other with no human contact, yet in the court-ordered plan it says we can recreate together, so why do they keep us separated from each other? The women who do work are allowed to recreate together, and they have a drinking fountain, games to play, and access to other things in their day room. Why the discrepancy there? Number 4. In the court-ordered death row plan, it states that death row segregated inmates shall be permitted to view the television for 15 hours a day, yet we are not allowed or given the opportunity to do this. We are being denied our proper TV time as ordered by the courts. Recently, the Mountain View unit under Warden Pamela Baggett has come out with the numerous changes as punishment for us as death row inmates. We are, number 1, handcuffed to walk around the hall to another room that would only take 2 steps to get from our cells, which before it was not like that. We were not to be handcuffed inside of the building at all. We are also repeatedly strip searched when we leave our cells to go to the recreation or to the showers, or appointments or visits when we are returned to our cells, even though we have never left the presence of the officers. Number 4. Our cells are searched repeatedly every day, every shift, even when we don't leave our cells. We are confined to our cells 23, sometimes 24 hours a day. In the process of these cell searches for contraband, as the administration calls it, our possessions are destroyed and mishandled inappropriately when there is no need for these actions. Yet the men on death row do not have to go through these procedures as women do. We are confined to cells that are not properly ventilated. We continue to tell the appropriate people about it, yet no one seems to care or want to correct this inhumane treatment. There are 600 plus men on death row in the state of Texas, and these men are not treated as we are. They are allowed 2 to 3 hours a day of recreation time out of their cells. They are allowed to view the TV, the appropriate 15 hours a day as the court order states, yet we as death row women are not. Why? I ask you to please write letters to Rita Radositz, Attorney at Law, Judge William Wayne Justice, Donna Brorby, TD-CJ, ACLU, Dr. Pierre Duterte, Gary Johnson, and Warden Pamela Baggett. Inform them and express your opinions about what's happening to us behind these prison walls, please. If no one speaks up on our behalf, this inhumane treatment will continue to go on. I thank you for your time and your efforts to help. God be with you all. Sincerely, Miss Erica Sheppard, number 999144, Mountain View Unit, Death Row. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Death Row Executions. Today's story is on CHRISTA Pike, who is the youngest woman to be sentenced to death in the United States during the post-Furman period. She is currently the only woman on Tennessee's death row. CHRISTA Pike was born on March 10, 1976 in West Virginia. Her parents did not remain in a relationship after they had CHRISTA, and her father was absent from her life altogether. CHRISTA's mother, Carissa Hansen, would frequently drink, use drugs, and party. Because of her mother's behavior, she was unable to care for CHRISTA like a mother should, so her maternal grandmother raised her. CHRISTA was a happy child and in a loving home. Things changed when CHRISTA turned 12. Her mother, who was absent in her life, decided that she wanted to step up and be a mother. Within the first week of CHRISTA moving in with her mother Carissa, she was exposed to drugs and drug users. Her mother had not changed. Carissa introduced a whole new life to CHRISTA that would lead her down a dark path. CHRISTA would spend nights on the street smoking weed, and she started drinking as well. She suffered from a blood clotting disorder, and she also had reconstructive surgery on her forehead when she was 14 years old after getting into a car accident. She eventually decided that school was not the right path for her, and she dropped out of high school in the 9th grade. Soon after dropping out, CHRISTA was busted for theft, arrested, and was sentenced to 30 days in juvie. While locked up, CHRISTA had no access to drugs, and this allowed her to focus and apply herself in positive activities. She earned her GED and ended up joining the Job Corps in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is a social education program for low-income youth. She was studying computer programming, but eventually wanted to study to become a nursing technician. Like most young teens, being attracted to the opposite sex and exploring those attractions takes up a lot of time and focus. Her focus was diverted from studying to boys. She ended up meeting a young man by the name of Tadaryl Shipp in the Job Corps. Tadaryl was a year younger than CHRISTA, The two quickly started dating, and they developed an obsession with learning about Satanism and the occult. CHRISTA and Taddaryl began attending occult meetings, and their 18-year-old friend, Sheppard Peterson, was interested in what they were doing, so she began to join the occult meetings as well. Satanism and Taddaryl were two things CHRISTA was obsessed with. She was possessive over her boyfriend and was very jealous as well. One day, during an occult session, CHRISTA made it known to Taddaryl and Sheppard that she was upset her 19-year-old classmate, Colleen Slemmer, was hitting on her boyfriend. She convinced her boyfriend and friend that Colleen needed to be sacrificed in the name of Satan. No one stopped CHRISTA from her beliefs or tried to calm her down about her ill feelings towards Colleen. Instead, they devised a plan that would bring CHRISTA's idea into fruition. On January 11, 1995, CHRISTA said that she was just feeling mean and had a one-track mind. She asked Colleen to meet her near an abandoned steam plant by the University of Tennessee campus so they could make peace, drink, and smoke weed. Colleen accepted the offer, but CHRISTA, however, had no intentions of squashing anything with Colleen. She was quoted saying, "That little whore has to be taught a lesson." On January 12, 1995, CHRISTA, Taddaryl, and Sheppard signed out of their dorm rooms and made it through the woods to meet up with Colleen. As soon as they spotted Colleen immediately started to apologize for the misunderstanding, but the trio began attacking her. The attack lasted for 30 minutes, and they did a number of horrendous things to Colleen's body before ultimately killing her. After killing her, CHRISTA took a piece of skull as a souvenir and then carved a pentagram in her chest. CHRISTA, Taddaryl, and Sheppard left nude from the waist up Colleen in the woods. With no shame, CHRISTA returned to the Job Corps and started to show off the piece of skull she took. School logs show that all 4 of them checked out, but only 3 checked back in. Rumors were spreading, and within 36 hours, CHRISTA, Taddaryl, and Sheppard were arrested. Police discovered the piece of skull in CHRISTA's jacket pocket, and upon a search of their dorm rooms, they found a satanic Bible. CHRISTA admitted to killing Colleen, but claimed she only wanted to scare her, but it got out of control. An autopsy was conducted on Colleen, and there were a number of defensive wounds on her. The ultimate cause of death was a result of blunt force injuries to the head. While being questioned, CHRISTA accepted responsibility, but refused to name her boyfriend and friend as accomplices. It wasn't until trial when a friend testified that Taddaryl Shipp and Sheppard Peterson were her accomplices. During trial, not only did prosecutors have a lot of evidence, but they had a confession as well. A student at the Job Corps by the name of Kim Iloilo testified that before the murder, CHRISTA told her that she intended to kill Colleen. The court was also made aware of the fact that after killing Colleen and back at the dorms, CHRISTA told another friend, Stephanie Lee Wilson, that she killed Colleen and saved a piece of her skull. Dr. Eric Engen, a clinical psychologist, examined CHRISTA and said that she was an extremely bright woman for having a 9th grade education and that her IQ was in the 77th percentile. He diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder, but concluded that there were no symptoms of brain damage and she was not insane. On March 22, 1996, CHRISTA was found guilty of murder. On March 30th, she was sentenced to death by method of electrocution for the murder charge and 25 years in prison for the conspiracy charge. Taddaryl received life in prison with the possibility of parole, and Sheppard, who became an informant, only received probation after pleading guilty to being an accessory. CHRISTA was taken to prison and for some time was a model prisoner. On August 24, 2001, however, CHRISTA attacked and attempted to kill fellow inmate Patricia Jones. She was unsuccessful and was charged and convicted of attempted first-degree murder. Despite her crime, she continued on with her appeals of getting her off of death row. In an appeal, it was documented that she was allowed to go outside for recreation with non-death row inmates, but over time, she was segregated in a different unit of the prison and had to go outside alone, restrained, and handcuffed. Even though she claimed to have done good things like trying to teach other inmates how to read, she was cited for creating disturbances and actually lost her prison job. Losing her job also lost her privilege of being able to socialize with other inmates. Her cell was searched twice a day, and CHRISTA admitted that the harsher treatment was the result of prison staff finding prescription medication in the wall of her cell. CHRISTA complained that life was getting harder for her in prison, and all of her personal belongings were taken and/or destroyed. She started receiving help for her mental health and was prescribed lithium. In the appeal, she claimed that the lithium did not allow her to have good sleeping patterns. There were also other complaints in the appeal, like her being moved to a different facility and refusing to go outside because they did not have a lot of equipment. She also complained of only being able to use the phone twice a month. CHRISTA was tired and wanted to remove her petition. She was tired of appeals and doctor's reports, but during the appeal, they were trying to convince her to think it over. They questioned her decision because she still requested for her sentence to be commuted to life in prison, and they wanted her to still meet with mental health experts. Dr. Kenner brought up how CHRISTA experienced a lot of emotional neglect, and he, along with Dr. Engum, suggested that CHRISTA suffered from borderline personality disorder. They mentioned that CHRISTA suffered from substance abuse, and she frequently felt alienated from others and did not have the best interpersonal relationships. They claimed that people with borderline personality disorder are more likely to have poor anger control, and pairing that with them diagnosing her with depressive disorder, PTSD, dissociative identity disorder, and intermittent explosive disorder made it really difficult for CHRISTA on a day-to-day basis. She would also sometimes fantasize about extreme violence. They also claimed that after so many years in solitary, CHRISTA developed OCD. Multiple doctors concluded that with her wanting to withdraw her petition, CHRISTA was not making a voluntary reasoned thought. CHRISTA agreed with most of Dr. Kenner's assessment, but she confirmed that the disorders did not prevent her from understanding her legal options. Her sound reasoning for withdrawing the petition was not because of her complaints of the prison's conditions, but because life in prison was worse than death. She also claimed that her mind would not change no matter how long she was on her new medication, so she did not need more time. She carefully considered her choice to proceed with an execution in under 5 years. She said all of this while crying and was quoted saying, "That's the reason I sit here and cry, not because I don't want this, but because I don't want to hurt them. It's just really what I want, and I want to stay who I am, and I want to die being who I am. I sat in this very courtroom with the jury that found me guilty and sentenced me to death. So if that many people decided that this is what I deserve, and that that's what my punishment should be, then I'm ready for that. I've accepted that. I don't want to live in the penitentiary for the rest of my life, knowing that I'm going to die in there one way or another. Whether I get a life sentence out of this, or whether I keep my death sentence, I'm dying a little more each day, and I want to still be me when I go. And the way that people treat me, inmates, guards, or whatever, I don't want them to turn me into somebody cold and mean and cruel that doesn't care about anybody or anything except for living day-to-day life in the pen. It's like 23 pulling off a Band-Aid. I'd rather just go ahead and get it over with. Now. But I hope that you can feel what I'm saying. If you can't, just really understand it through my words. And I know that Dr. Kenner says that this medication or whatever is going to make me change my mind, but it's not. I've been thinking it through ever since I got this sentence. And even though I've never voiced it, and I haven't just told everybody about it, it's been years. It's been about 5 years that I've been wanting this, but it's just really what I want, and it's what I need as I'm being who I am. I want to die being who I am. The courts finally agreed to schedule her execution and set a date for August 19, 2002. Criminal Court Judge Mary Beth Lebowitz granted the request. On July 8, 2002, however, CHRISTA changed her mind, and defense lawyers filed a motion to allow the appeal process to continue. The motion was initially denied, but on August 2, 2002, there was a 3-judge state appeals court panel, and they ruled for the execution not to be carried out. It is now the year of 2022, and CHRISTA has no more petitions left under the appeals procedures in the state of Tennessee, but she has yet to receive an execution date. In March of 2012, CHRISTA was caught making escape plans with Correctional Officer Justin Heflin and a man on the outside, Donald Kohut. Donald was visiting CHRISTA in prison and agreed to assist her. Their plans were interrupted because during that time, the Tennessee Department of Corrections, the New Jersey State Police, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations were conducting a joint investigation. Donald was driving 1,800 miles by car from New Jersey to Nashville, Tennessee to visit CHRISTA. Donald was arrested and charged with bribery, official misconduct, and conspiracy to commit escape. He was eventually sentenced to 7 years in prison. Officer Heflin served no prison time, but was fired from his job. In 2020, Tennessee Attorney General requested that an execution date be set for CHRISTA. During this time, the pandemic was affecting our country, and the state agreed with CHRISTA's attorneys and allowed extensions. The last motion for an execution date to be postponed was on June 7, 2021. There has yet to be a decision on whether or not her sentence will be commuted. If she is executed, she will be the first woman in the state of Tennessee to be executed in about 200 years. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe.